Hey everybody. The bells have started ringing here at Foundry Church. That must mean it is noon on Wednesday on the East Coast. And so I'm going to give us a minute to let some folks join in. And I hope you can hear my voice okay. I'm on my phone and kind of propped up in here. So if you can, let me see. I'm going to see if somebody can just let me know that my voice is coming through. That would be awesome. And again, we're going to just wait a sec to let some folks come and be with us. And enjoy the bells while you come to join in. Awesome. Thanks, Blake. And do let us know where you're coming from as you come to be with us in community today here. It's always fun to see where folks are. Hello, my friend Jesse. Good to see you. It is a good day to be together. And in just a few minutes, I'll share a few things on my mind. Give us another few seconds. Thank you, brother. Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, Anne. Welcome, Blake. Welcome, Michael. Wonderful to see you. So I'm going to just let the bells be my backdrop. Blake has assured me you can hear my voice all right. I'm in the Foundry Columbarium today. I decided I'd come and hang out with some old friends. So I've been saying hello to Alice and to John and many others who I come and sit with sometimes. And I welcome all of you. Today, again, I'm here at Foundry Church. My name is Ginger Gaines Sorelli. I'm the senior pastor here at Foundry in DC. And every Wednesday at noon, I invite you to join me, usually, often, from the Purple Parlor of my home. And today, here I am in one of the most beautiful sacred spaces on the Foundry campus, our Foundry Columbarium. At noon in DC, the Foundry bells ring, and we are almost just slightly adjacent, almost right underneath them as they ring. So I hope that's a blessing to you. So here's what's on my mind today for us to ponder together a little bit and think about. Simone Biles is on my mind. I'm thinking a lot about the fact that we have witnessed in her decision one of the most brave and humble acts of leadership that we've witnessed in some time. That's what's on my mind. And I'm also thinking about some of the intersecting issues that are part of that event, of that moment, and the ongoing story and witness that Simone is sharing with the world. What a witness she is making. And one of the things that I'm thinking a lot about is just the ways that immediately, once it was clear that she didn't have an acceptable injury that took her out of the competition, but rather was overtaken, as I've read. I haven't read everything, but what I'm reading and learning is that she manages anxiety in her life, as many of us do, and of course the pressure that she has been holding for so long just magnifies and makes the anxiety even more challenging to deal with. When you know that everyone is looking to you, imagine, it's impossible really to imagine for most of us, what that is like, to know that the whole world has their eyes on you and they expect you to excel always, and that to just sort of blow them away every time, to be to perform miracle after miracle. And so in this moment, as I've read her words, she says that she came in and realized that her head wasn't in the right space, that she wasn't able to sort of be in the kind of mental space that the demons, the sort of all those voices and the things that pull you out of yourself had gotten to her. And she just sort of lost herself and realized after that first go that she was not in a space to be able to perform the way that she knew was needed. And so she stepped aside, and her team was brilliant and was able to meddle even without her presence. Now, a lot of folks are calling her, or just like trashing everything, all the good that has been said about her, and calling up all of these stories of other people who have performed when they were injured and pushed through, and if so-and-so had done that, then blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just, the nastiness is perhaps not surprising, but it's hateful and destructive, and it's sinful, I believe, because the truth of the matter is that to make the decision that Simone Biles has made is extraordinarily brave, because she had to know that she was disappointing people. She had to know that she was, it's a terrible feeling to know that your own illness, your own whatever the thing is that you grapple with, has gotten in the way of your performance when you know what you're capable of. And the truth is she's proven what she doesn't have to prove anything. I mean, that young woman is absolutely extraordinary, and the greatest of all time, absolutely fits. I mean, anyone who's ever seen her talent couldn't. I mean, there's just no comparison. So I'm just thinking about the extraordinary bravery of stepping away, of stepping aside in the midst of that kind of moment, and it really is extraordinary. It makes me think about just in our own lives. I mean, most of us are not on the world stage under that kind of spotlight and pressure, and yet we all have those moments where we have a decision to make around whether we keep pushing when something's not okay, or when we make a decision to step aside. And I think that our culture certainly values and wants to. The value is that you just keep going, you push through. I mean, how many athletes and others do we know have just gotten a shot to keep playing, and then they may never be able to play their game ever again because they just kept going and did more and more and more damage to their bodies? How many times do we keep going and self-medicate to keep going, and then end up doing damage to our bodies, and often perhaps to relationships in our families or our friendships? It's that pushing through, that not taking a pause, the not paying attention to the voices, the inner wisdom that knows that you need to stop, to take a break, to step out for a little while. And of course, the thing that comes to my mind from our spiritual tradition is the spiritual practice of Sabbath. Many of you know that I try to talk about this often, certainly try to model it the best I can. And because I think it's the Sabbath we all pretend isn't really that important for some reason. Like all the other ones are like this big deal, and the breaking of Sabbath seems like meh, who cares? And that just, I think, goes to show the power of the American sort of ethos and the value of this never-ending production and work and pushing through and pushing through. And of course, the other piece around this, is the sort of cultural nuance to the need to push, the need to excel, the need to do more. Because if you we talk about the intersections, we're talking a lot about that right now at Foundry in our sermon series. But if you have, anything that is not, let me just make it plain. I mean, those who have the most white men, and certainly, and then we go down from there, white women. And if you have a different skin color, if you have a different language as a first language, if you have, a different physical ability, anything, different gender identity, sexual orientation, all of those things then make it that you have to do that much more just to get to the baseline. And so all of this sort of pushing and production and needing to excel, that becomes even more heightened in an already kind of overworked, overdriven, culture, production culture, capitalist culture. If you need to, just by your very being, it means that you feel like you have to excel even more. And so, but all of us are caught in it, no matter where we are. Lord knows, I know so many, let me just be clear, lovely, thoughtful, humble white men who also get caught up in this and feel they have to somehow prove something through never stopping. And I came across today, one of the things I've been doing, so I'm coming back, as we're coming back into the building, my study here at the church was a mess. I mean, a mess. The people who had been coming in to disinfect had just would move everything on all the shelves to clean. And so my books were all askew. It was time for a good clean in there anyway. So I've been reorganizing stuff. I came across this little book by the Old Testament biblical scholar Walter Brueggemann, who many of you know is one of my favorites. And this is just a little thin book that he wrote on Sabbath. And I opened to this page and I thought, so he talks first of all about just how Sabbath has gotten so twisted in the way that we think about it in sort of much of the American church. He said it's gotten enmeshed in the legalism and moralism and blue laws and life-denying practices that contradict the freedom-bestowing intention of Sabbath. Such distortions have led to endlessly wearying quarrels about, quote, Sunday activities, such as movies and card playing, and currently in my state, purchasing liquor on Sunday. By the way, the town where I grew up, all that, I went to kids who were like, oh, we can't do any of those things. They couldn't do a lot of those things any day of the week, much less Sunday. Anyway, he goes on, all that common lore in U.S. society amounts to a pitiful misrepresentation of Sabbath keeping as an art form. When taken seriously in faith by Jews and derivatively by Christians, Sabbath keeping is a statement of peculiar identity amid a larger public identity, of maintaining and enacting a counter-identity that refuses mainstream identity, which itself entails anti-human practice and the worship of anti-human gods. And get this is the line that really got me. Understood in this way, Sabbath is a bodily act of testimony to alternative values and resistance to pervading values and the assumptions behind those values. And I thought, that is what we saw Simone Biles do, in part, was to make an act, to testify through her choice to an alternative value, which was to say, I know myself, I know who I am, I know my limits, I know what's going on right now, I'm going to think about the good of the team, I'm going to honor my own dignity, and do what is right for me, for my body, because she also had an awareness, as I understand it, that when you're in that kind of headspace, it's very easy to injure yourself. So this was an act, a deep act of self-care, which is a counter to the prevailing value, which is no, you just suck it up, you just figure it out, you just go out there and keep doing it, make it happen, like overcome. Just keep going. And she said no. She said no. That's a profound testimony of an alternative value. Very, very brave. The other thing that it says then is it's resistance. Sabbath is resistance to pervading values and the assumptions behind those values. So in all of this testimony, this act is a resistance against all those things that would pull us to do harm to ourselves. So the question for me then in our sort of day in, day out lives is, what is it? Where are the places that it's hard for you to say, nope, this is what I know, this is what I need, this is where I need to stop, this is where I need to set the boundary. Even when you know that people are, here's the hard, when you know you are going to disappoint others, when you know that others are going to maybe need something from you that they were counting on, and you have to say, I simply can't. Or, better said, I'm choosing not to do that because I know that what I need for my own well-being is to not do that right now. In whatever the scenario might be. And that is extraordinarily difficult. Extraordinarily difficult. And I would say, for certain personalities who are pleasing personality, trying to please people and who really, we all want people to respond positively to us and appreciate us and affirm us and all that stuff. And so disappointing people is hard. It's especially difficult for anyone who's been socialized to believe that a core part of who we are supposed to be, either culturally or because of our gender, that who we are supposed to be is someone who is always making sure that everyone else gets what they need before we get what we need. That's a lot of us. And so making a different choice takes great courage and intention. The good news is that we are given permission by God to do that. And it's called Sabbath, and it can happen not just by taking a whole day, but in a moment where you make a choice. That is a choice to testify to a different value, to resist those values that would say you have to push through to the point of doing harm or push through to the point of addiction because you're constantly trying to medicate the pain and you're not able to step away and get the help you need. And here's the other piece. The fact that, at least in some of what I've read, Simone Biles is talking about therapy and medication is extraordinarily important because we continue in all sorts of ways to not honor and acknowledge that mental illness is a physical illness. It is a bodily illness. It is a human malady that needs to be cared for and treated. This is not something that someone just makes up, and it's not a form of weakness. It's not a form of weakness. Acknowledging that we have, there are people I know who even when they get sick with something that everybody thinks you should go to the doctor for, won't go to the doctor, and they just push through. Well, I might be among them sometimes because I don't like to go to the doctor. But, I'm preaching here to myself a little bit. But here's the thing, like the fact that she is naming that and acknowledging that those are resources that she draws on, therapy and medication, to help support her and help her stay centered and strong and able to do the extraordinary things that she does all the time, is really, really important. What we're witnessing, I guess what I'm saying is I've really been overwhelmed as this story has continued to flow out by just the layers of prophetic, transformative strength and power that we are witnessing right now. It's just a different side of Simone Biles's power and strength that we are witnessing right now. We've seen so much of the other artistry and athleticism and just extraordinary talent. We've seen that, and now we're seeing this other part. Isn't that amazing? And so, encouragement for all of us. If she can do it, we can sometimes say no. So think about where it is that you may need to set a boundary. Are you pushing through things that are telling you that you need to just stop? It's really hard. I'm not trying to pretend it isn't. I struggle with this all the time. But God invites us to rest and to pause when we need to pause. And we don't always have to be creating and doing and doing and doing and doing and doing. And when we know that we need help or support, we can reach out and get it. God is holding us always. And there are resources available. Okay, so since I'm on my phone, I have no idea how long I've been chattering over here, so I'm going to wrap it up. But I hope this has been helpful. I'm, as always, unscripted ponderings, what's on my mind, and there we are. So let's pray. Loving God, we give you thanks that you have modeled for us the practice of Sabbath when you rested after 6 extraordinary days of creation. We give you thanks for that beautiful, beautiful narrative that reminds us of the value of rest and renewal when we can simply do what is needed for restoration so that we might return and continue the work that is ours. I pray your blessing upon Simone Biles. I pray your blessing upon all who are feeling the weight of the world and who are struggling under that weight. I pray that you would give them resources and support, and that you would be with all of us as we seek to set healthy boundaries and to do the things that care for body, mind, and spirit. Lord, for all who are particularly struggling right now, I pray that you would draw near and grace them with whatever they need. Be with us through the rest of this day, I pray, in the power of Jesus' name. Amen. All right, my dear ones. We have another guest preacher on Sunday, so the Reverend Doctor, she just got her Doctor of Ministries, so we hadn't been saying that, but now it's official. The Reverend Dr. Lydia Munoz is going to be our next guest preacher this coming Sunday, and so I hope you will tune in and receive the blessing that she will bring. And then the following Sunday, Stacey Abrams is going to be joining us in our online worship to bring the word. And you may know, I assume most of you know, that Stacey Abrams is the daughter of 2 United Methodist pastors, and so is herself a United Methodist lay woman who certainly knows how to preach a word. So we have 2 great Sundays coming up. I hope you'll join us and stay connected to all the ways that we continue to turn the corner together. We know that things are a little rough out there these days with the reports coming in from COVID, and we'll just keep updating and trying to be nimble and to keep everyone safe. So do stay connected and keep up with what's going on. But I hope we'll see you in all the places whenever you're available to join us. May the peace of God be with you, and may you know in the very core of your being the liberating power of God's love. I'll see you next time.